Yeah, so things are on the up and up. Hey, it's time for another great episode of Get On. All right, welcome to Get On Code, the Fly Guy Show, which is a series of melanated conversations focused on empowerment, health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
People think in binary choices because they are conditioned to.
And on the wall was a picture of a wolf and a lion. I think the wolf was the Democratic Party, the lion was the Republicans.
But the drug trade and all these illegal stuff that people do, that's still economics. It's just that they couldn't do it in a traditional system.
We're talking about melanated wealth.
So we can build wealth, but we just, for some reason, don't seem to be able to transfer it.
You had a great experience. Fine. That means nothing.
What were you told as a child about education? You had to be how many times better?
Every impression without an expression becomes depression.
All right. Yes. Once again, it's another great episode of Get On Code. I'm your good brother, Mr. Empowerment at Seiko Varner, and I'm here with the good brother, Minister Zumbi Shawala. Did I say Shawala right?
Yes, sir.
I keep thinking Shawala Walla Bing Bang. It's all good, bro.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's all good. All good. Hey, man. Well, the good brother, Minister Zumbi, is the author of GOAT, The Gospel of Afro-Nomics Theology. Great book. I have my copy here. I'm still diving through it.
You'll have copy?
Yo, man, you put out a nice manifesto. So tonight, man, prayerfully, we're going to get a chance to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency, and our community.
Right.
The good brother Tim Webb from Keep Pcoin was going to join with us, couldn't make it tonight. And what's kind of interesting is he said, decide which one of you. Most people do earned income. They use their earned income to buy a Tesla. But what power coiners do, and we're going to have to get him back on the show so he can discuss that, is used earned income to invest in power coin and then use the profit to buy Tesla. I think that's interesting, but I think that's marketing.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think the gentleman picked that up from one of the books in the Rich Dad series. I think it's talking about increasing your financial IQ, where what Robert Kiyosaki was trying to teach with that little demonstration there was how you increase your financial IQ and how you increase your financial intelligence. So, for example, let's say if there's something you want to purchase, okay, let's say you want to purchase 10 acres of land.
Okay.
All right. But you don't have the capital necessary to where you can buy it outright or at least put a down payment on. So do you borrow money or do you create an asset that can generate enough money to where you can buy these 10 acres of land outright? You see? So if you choose to create an asset that can generate the necessary capital for the 10 acres of land, now you're in a position to where you bought the land and you still have an asset that generates income.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's how you actually increase your financial IQ and your financial intelligence. And you didn't have to go into debt to take out a mortgage to do it.
All right, so you're saying that there's some merit in saying that you should take your earned income, invest in cryptocurrencies like PowerCoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I don't know the rest of them.
Okay.
And then use those monies to buy a Tesla, a Mercedes,
right,
Gucci.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So there is merit to that. It's kind of interesting that he would use that particular example, but, I think the point is clear. So if you can do something like, and another thing before I forget, what I also saw in the diagram is something that Robert Kiyosaki has talked about through his Rich Dad series. If you are generating earned income, you must quickly convert it into portfolio and passive income as quickly as possible.
All right. And the good brother Tim Webb, also from Pcoin, says that the top 7 investments, of course, he put his Pcoin number 1.
Okay.
But that's okay, because we always put your GOAT first, and we put my services first too.
Okay.
So real estate second, your health third, your career fourth, side hustles is fifth, your knowledge is sixth, and paying off debt is seventh. Now, I think I would flip that a little bit, man. I think I would flip that a little bit. So we're going to talk about blacks and Bitcoin, or blacks and cryptocurrency, colored people and cryptocurrency. We'll find a way to make it work. But I want to leave that as the foundation. I want to start with the foundation of investment, please, because most of us are not buying cryptocurrency just to trade. You know, most of us are seeming to buy cryptocurrencies to invest. And is that smart?
I think before we even get into whether cryptocurrency is a good investment, I go back and I ask the question, it's not about the money per se, it's really about you, because you are ultimately the asset and or the liability. Okay. So, so something that we may consider an asset based on what your mindset is can flip it into a liability, and then vice versa. Okay. So for example, let's go into hip hop. All right. No one thought about taking 2 turntables and hooking it up to a crossfader and becoming a one-man band. So you took things that were pretty unrelated to one another and you created a whole new asset and was able to generate infinite streams of income. Now, to me, I call that alchemy, to where you take things that are ordinary, combine them, and now all of a sudden you've created something new and something a lot more valuable. Okay.
Oh, hold on. You call that alchemy.
Yes.
So are you using your metaphysical terms and so forth? For the uninitiated, what is alchemy?
Alchemy is basically where you take base metals and convert them into gold. Or what the real science is, you take something or someone who is ordinary and convert them into something extraordinary or something of greater value.
Okay. All right. So just a little historical fact. Before hip hop DJs were doing it, disco DJs were doing it too. Right. They just didn't have the crossfader that Grand Master Flash helped create.
Oh, you mean like Cool DJ Herc and other DJs? Okay. Yeah. So basically, I guess they were the next evolutionary step after, regular disco DJs.
Right.
Okay. So really, you are ultimately the asset or the liability. Okay. It's not the money or it's not the resource. It's the mindset and how you treat the asset per se. So, for example, I was able to take 3 things that were unrelated to each other. I took ink, I took paper, I took pen, combined them into this. Okay, something that is of greater value together than those 3 particular things individually. But I had to have the mindset to organize the information and organize the ingredients in order to make this happen.
Sure.
Okay. So when we come into cryptocurrency, and, I'm giving a caveat, I'm still a novice at this. So I'm still learning about what is cryptocurrency and what it does and where it can go.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that in many ways, I think our community, and that's the reason we're having this discussion, is just to say, hey, we need to take a deeper look at this. Interestingly enough, one of my coworkers was saying, hey, you need to get involved in Dogecoin or Dogecoin. I think Doja Cat, one of my new favorite artists. That's my best friend. She's a real bad chick. Yeah. She looks good with a T on the end. Good, like she says in the song. But so Dogecoin tumbles. So I know she invested. She was like, Seiko, you got to invest in Dogecoin. I think it's called Dogecoin, whatever it is. You got to invest in it. You got to invest in it. I put $100 in it. And it looks, she's like, Elon Musk is going to go on Saturday Night Live and talk about it. And it's going to go through the roof.
See?
He went on SNL and talked about it, and it dropped.
Now, and I don't know if you've ever heard this way. Like we talk about, it's not the coin of the realm, it's the knowledge behind it. So when we talk about investing in something, we have to look at ROI. And ROI stands for two things: return on your investment and return of investment. Okay. And understanding that there is always an element of risk involved in investing. Okay. And when you invest, people don't have rules. I think we talked about it in a previous show where you have to create a set of rules for yourself as an investor before you go into the market or whatever it is you're looking to invest in, because you need something to protect you from your own emotions. You see, and I think what's happening in cryptocurrency is pretty much something that I've always said about the stock market. Look at what's driving cryptocurrency now. It's fear, greed, and ignorance, just like the stock market. And we saw what happened in 2000 with the dot-com bubble. And then the following year, we saw what happened with Arthur Andersen and WorldCom and Enron. And then later, we saw what happened with the real estate bubble, the predatory lending, and the fact that when we found out that the Russians and the Chinese were lending money to these instruments like Washington Mutual and so forth, but the Russians and the Chinese themselves didn't realize that their money was being used for predatory lending. Okay. And now it seems like history is repeating itself with this cryptocurrency. Okay. Are we going to see another cryptocurrency bubble? Are we going to see more fear, greed, and ignorance drive this thing? Because what is the intrinsic value?
That's what I can't figure out.
Okay.
I can't figure that out. I can't.
See? Because because I always say that the price of a stock, or in this case, the price of cryptocurrency, usually has little to nothing to do with the intrinsic value of the potential asset itself. Okay. So let's say you see Warren Buffett. He comes out, he looks around, he says, it's nothing to invest in. Everybody's looking at him like he's crazy. Buffett, along with Carl Icahn, Ray Dalio, and others, they use a criteria where they're looking at the intrinsic value of a company versus looking at the stock price. Because, like I said, the stock price is really driven by fear, greed, and ignorance.
Interesting. So what is Warren Buffett saying about crypto? And, why do we have, what's this guy name? Isaiah, not this guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why is Sean Culkin deciding to get paid in cryptocurrency? I don't.
I read that on ESPN and I'm scratching my head like, really? Because I'm looking at this as, and that's why I said there's always rules that govern things. So investing, what are the rules? And I think what's happening is that people, and I think you notice, well, being in real estate, there's a difference between being an investor and a gambler.
Right.
Okay. And I think people are gamblers who are trying to masquerade as investors. Okay. Because they don't take the time to do their homework to look at the intrinsic value of the potential asset in which they're going to invest.
Interesting. And I think that's one of the challenges, man, is maybe I'm missing it. So maybe one of our viewers can tap in and, Emmanuel says, hello. What's up, Emmanuel? Salute that, bro.
Peace.
Maybe Emmanuel knows something that we don't know about crypto, because he turned in 100% of his salary.
Yeah, that's
to Bitcoin.
Now, how much was his contract? I forgot.
I think it was like 92. I don't know. I'll look it up in just a second.
Okay.
But it was 92 something.
Because he's not the first player to convert his salary into Bitcoin. There was another player who only converted part of his salary into cryptocurrency.
All right. I fully believe Bitcoin is the future of finance, and I wanted to prove that I have real skin in the game, not just trying to make a quick buck. I'll be converting my entire 2021 NFL salary to Bitcoin. So he's taking his entire salary and he's riding the wave of Bitcoin.
Okay.
Is that what I'm getting?
But see, he's got a problem, because the one thing, and Jim Brown said this, he says the one thing that athletes don't understand when they start making big money is tax brackets. So does Culkin understand the tax bracket that he's in? And what does the IRS have to say about taxing cryptocurrency? Because I'm pretty sure they're trying to figure this thing out as it emerges and as it goes along. Okay.
All right.
So, all right, I'm seeing what you're saying now. So basically a base salary of $920,000. All right.
Right.
So let's just say before he even touches it, let's say that at least 40 to 45% is gone in state and federal taxes. Okay. Then
Thank
there's
you,
another.
Emmanuel.
Yeah. And then there's another.
Thank you, Emmanuel. He dropped in and he hit it before we hit it.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So, well, let's just call it a clean half. Half of that is gone in state and federal taxes. He's got to pay his agent, according to the NFL rules, about 3 to 4% of his salary.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying, okay, you want to put your entire thing to it, but how do you figure out the taxes? And right now, the IRS is trying to figure out how to tax cryptocurrency.
Well, he says from a macro standpoint, I believe we're in the beginning stage of Bitcoin shift away from being speculative to having substantial, solid value. Now, you have the opinion that Bitcoin is going to bubble burst.
Yeah, because everything operates in cycles. That's why I said the one thing that I learned about studying economics, you also have to study history. And no matter what happens, there's always cycles that come. There's always a boom and there's always a bust. The question is, where are you in that cycle? And if you understand cycles, how can you stay one step ahead of the curve? You see, because like I said, I saw this 3 different times in the past 20 years with the .com, and then I saw it with Enron, WorldCom, and Arthur Andersen. Then I saw it with the predatory lending, 2007, 2008. Okay. So there seems to be a cycle. And that's why I said there's a difference between investing and gambling. So are we doing our due diligence? Are we doing our homework, not just in cryptocurrency, but understanding the basics of investing itself? You see? So like my friend in the Bronx, I gave him a few books. I said, before you start engaging in investing, and this is one thing that I do agree with Robert Kiyosaki. He says part of being a good investor is being a good entrepreneur.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you've ever created value, now you know how to look at the intrinsic value of a company. You see, because you need something that's on that's rooted in a solid foundation.
So how do we determine that value with Bitcoin? So he's worth 920. What was it? 900.
Yeah, his
said.
base salary would be 920,000, and that's not including if there's incentive clauses in the contract.
So if his Bitcoin amount goes up, does he just cash out immediately, or does he ride the wave? And what's determining how it goes up and how it goes down? What makes that determination?
Yeah, see, that's the other thing, because the one thing I was thinking about is volatility. Okay, how do you control the volatility? And that's why I said I'm a novice, because like you, I'm asking the same questions. What is the value? How do you determine the value? It's not backed by gold or silver. So
right.
Are we playing with some new age monopoly money? Is that it? Because we're already, it's like, okay, we're already in a fiat economy as is. Okay.
Now for the uninitiated, what is a fiat economy?
A fiat economy is an economy where the currency is not backed by a precious metal, gold or silver, etc. Okay. And to give you an example, of that, Richard Nixon on August 15th, 1971, he took the US dollar off the gold standard.
Right.
Okay. So we've been, as of August 15th of 2021, we would have been in a fiat economy for 50 years.
So if we've been used to a fiat economy, how does this crypto thing help us? Emmanuel says, my issue with crypto is, will it be backed by gold or silver or some other type of hard assets? When I deal with properties as real estate, person and real estate investor, I'm dealing with a hard asset, the property, the land that it stays on, and the edifice itself. I have the same question, Emmanuel. Will it be back? So I'm worried now because Sean, $920,000 base salary.
Yeah.
What if his Bitcoin drops?
And see,
you bring up
and you bring up an excellent point about assets. Okay. Being in real estate, you have assets that you can actually control and actually increase its value, its market value. Okay. There's little to no control over this cryptocurrency, just like you don't have much control over stocks or paper assets. All right. Which is why I'm not a fan of 401ks and pensions after what went down with Enron, WorldCom, and Arthur Andersen. If you don't have control of your asset, then who's really controlling it? You see, so you're in a better spot because you've got assets that you can control and you can increase its value.
All right, and so Emmanuel says, is it going to be backed by gold or silver? I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it. You're like, I'm still trying to figure it out, and it looks like Warren Buffett is saying the same thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm not saying we should follow Schwarzenegger or Buffett by any means. I'm not, but I do think that Buffett might be somebody that I would follow. So
now, what's funny with Buffett is, I know initially he was against it because Buffett has an attitude where he only sticks to what he knows.
Right.
Okay. And then I see him do a 180 where he's for it. And I guess depending on the date of this article that you pulled up, I guess he's looking at it again and saying, I don't know. Okay, because Robert Kiyosaki was in the same boat. He was against it in one book. Then in a couple of books later, he's now for it.
So Robert Kiyosaki is for cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, and I forgot which book it is. It's one of his latest books. He says there's 3 types of money. He says you've got, cash, which is government money. You've got gold and silver, which he calls God's money. And then you have cryptocurrency, which is what he calls the people's money. Okay, because the one thing that he said is if the people gain control, like if you go back in history, nobody wants a centralized bank. Okay. And I guess the way that Kiyosaki is looking at it as, it's the people's money, it's the people's currency. So they'll have a greater say in how this currency will be valued. But it's very dangerous because now it becomes very subjective. Okay. There's nothing standard across the board. All right. And especially when you're talking about a nation state, okay, our nation state's going to adopt cryptocurrency as its primary currency. Okay, because that's something else to think about.
I kind of worry, man. I kind of worry because I think that here in the United States of America, if you spell America with a C or with a KKK, either way you spell it, here in the United States of America, people of African descent have had a really raw deal financially. Right. And now we're at a situation where things are having some level, not of equity, not of equality, but more opportunity that's kind of open. You know what I'm saying? So should we embrace cryptocurrency and how it operates for economic uplift? Or should we look at the things that have been providing economic uplift for the last 300 years and really dive deep into those? So, should we move crypto or should we move in traditional things? And I think that's something that we're going to have to decide because.
Right. Because I look at things like this. What you're doing is you're investing in something that people are always going to need, and that's a roof over their head. So I always believe if you invest in people's food, clothing, and shelter, see, because now we're in a post-COVID economy, and we need to have things that are not only pandemic proof, but recession proof. And does cryptocurrency pass the smell test in that?
All right. So what's your smell test?
For me, it's still driven by fear, greed, and ignorance. It's like I'm seeing Groundhog Day all over again. And like I said, this is before me really getting into the nuts and bolts of what this cryptocurrency is about. Okay, because I'm seeing on one side, people swear by it. The other side, people demonize it. So what is, and like I said, the jury is still out because it's relatively new. I think maybe past 5 or 6 years that people have been really getting into cryptocurrency.
Emmanuel says crypto could be like people bargaining in ancient markets amongst each other. That's kind of intriguing. That's an intriguing position. Isaiah Jackson is saying that it's a key way to fix economic injustice. He urges us to get on the digital coin as a way of saving in the long term. For the first time in history, we have a plan B option to the current financial system. Interesting.
Okay, but I go back to something that Malcolm said in Message to the Grassroots. Everything is based on land, which is the foundation of all political and economic power and independence. Okay. You
know what? I love that, Mom. One of the ministers that I hang with said in a sermon last week that he was talking about the canonized Christian scriptures. He said the scriptures are preoccupied with land, children,
yes,
land, children, and it's something else. But he said, if you look throughout the scriptures, they're preoccupied with land, children, and it's something else. I can't think of what it is. It might be wealth. But so goes along with what Brother Malcolm, the ancestor Malcolm said about, the economic power being in land.
Right.
So
yeah.
Go.
Because, everybody's going to the flavor of the month, but, there's a song that, the elders used to sing in the South called The Solid Rock. And the chorus goes, on Christ, the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. Okay. So if we don't understand the importance of land and what it can do for people, then cryptocurrency is really just another flavor of the month, because what good is cryptocurrency if you don't own, control, produce, and distribute? So owning and controlling land that can give you food, that can give you resources and other things, plus understanding how when you look at these super families and these rich families, part of the intergenerational or dynastic wealth they've built is through land ownership. Okay, because we don't know where cryptocurrency is going to be 10, 15, 20 years from now, but we know there's going to be some land. We know people are going to need food, clothing, and shelter.
Land, food, clothing, and shelter. That's like if you look at Maslow's 5 hierarchy of needs.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's that right there. So, I wish the brother T Webb would have come on and shared his information about P-Coin, because I was really intrigued by what he's bringing. So, brother T Webb has created P-Coin, which is his own blockchain. And he's not the only one that's done it. So I think it's intriguing to see that many of us are getting on code and working in the coding of creating a cryptocurrency. But I'm still just kind of rallying and trying to figure this out. So, but I do think it's a discussion that needs to be happening. So if I'm already investing, and I'm investing using Robinhood, I'm investing using some of the other apps so I can purchase stocks.
Right.
Is that similar to investing in blockchain?
And it still goes back to doing your due diligence. Okay. And what I mean by that is when we talk about, everybody talks about having a diversified portfolio. Okay. But the problem is when people talk about diversifying, they're only diversifying within a certain set of assets. And I talk about this in my book, the chapter called Scribe, where I said that is real asset diversification. And Scribe is really an acronym. So Scribe, S, systems, because all rich people deal in systems and teams. Okay. C, commodities. R, real estate. I, investments, where I talk about paper assets. B, businesses. And E is ESOP. If you're working for someone, and ESOP stands for Employee Stock Ownership Plan. Okay. And what that is, that means that the employees own 50% of the company, minimum. So not only are you working there, but you're also a shareholder. And the employees have the majority ownership of the company.
You know what's crazy to me? When I used to work at it wasn't Farm Fresh. It was Food Lion. So I used to work at Food Lion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so, I started off as a stock boy. And this was when I was young and attractive, right? I think the manager in the deli section kind of had a crush on me. And so she had me working in the deli section. It was banging. It was, because I had a ball. I met a lot of great people.
Right.
And I dated a lot of great women who came to the deli section. And I was kind of artistic, so I used to do the cakes and stuff too.
Okay.
Ooh, he can make a cake. He can design my cake. Yeah, baby. I can bake your cake, baby. So I would ask the people who work there, because I was part-time initially. I was like, well, yeah, did you get stock? You get stock options? No. I said, but you're full-time. You can get stock options. Well, why would I get stock in a place where I work? Why wouldn't you get stock in a place you work?
See?
And then when I went to the school system, I was a teacher, school counselor. A lot of the teachers during that early time, like the 90s, they said, I'm going to get a pension, so I'm not going to invest in my own IRA. So here's what I think is happening. At that time, they didn't believe in investing, and many of those teachers are now, even though they're fully retired, they're part-time teachers because they can't afford it. Can we afford to miss this opportunity? I agree with Emmanuel that there might be some legal and regulatory problems, and the countries are saying we can't regulate this. I think in Nigeria, from what I understand, cryptocurrencies are illegal or something of that nature. It might be Nigeria.
Yeah, there's
or
some
Ghana,
countries that have banned it. Yes.
Right. So is there a opportunity cost here? Are we going to miss the opportunity if we don't jump on board? And that's one of the things I was hoping to have a discussion about tonight. So you do a great study of history. How many opportunity moments have we missed?
Let's start with Harlem.
Okay.
And let's talk about gentrification as an example. So while we were living in these, brownstones and other places, I'm also including Philadelphia because I have some friends who went to Temple University in their grad program. When the properties were cheap, we didn't think about owning the brownstones. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, here we are, the brownstones that we got for basically pennies on the dollar are now 7, possibly 8-digit figures. Okay. And we're basically being priced out of our own homes. And you see that with the dynamics of changing in Harlem, where are all these white folks coming from? Okay. You've got ESPN and Disney and ABC and all these other networks that are downtown in Times Square. Okay. You had the vendors taking off the street. Okay. Because we didn't take the opportunity to own and control the real estate in Harlem. How can this be the unofficial capital of the African world community and we don't own anything in it? Especially now, and you probably know this firsthand. Look at what Columbia University is doing and sucking up Harlem real estate.
We should have been buying the block. That was a missed opportunity.
Right. And the same thing went on in Philadelphia. Now, here's what I found interesting about the takeover of Philly. The people who took over Philly are the same cast of characters that took over Harlem. The only difference is who financed the move. And in Philadelphia, what I found out was the people who financed the takeover of North Philly was Citizens Bank.
Okay. Now that's intriguing.
Yeah. And it seems like there's a pattern, going all throughout the country where now everybody, all this white flight that was taking place like in the 60s and the 70s, now everybody wants to come back in and take over, the, inside the city limits.
So that's two examples of how we missed the boat collectively.
Right.
Collectively.
Mm-hmm.
There's some individuals who profited.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Philly, salute to the good, gorgeous sister, what's her name? Nicole Purvey, who put together a nice real estate team called Better Than Success.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has a really great real estate team. So if you're in Philly, you get involved with Better Than Success, then they teach you how to become a real estate mogul. So yeah. So are there any other great opportunities? This is the legacy of the lack of financial literacy in our community. I didn't even hear the term generational wealth until I was 28. Whoa. Yo, Emmanuel, thank you for being part of this conversation, Emmanuel. That's deep.
Mm-hmm. And see, what happens is, and see, this is the reason why I'm adamant about our young people engaging more in marriage again, because when you marry, people don't realize that marriage, you're also being able to acquire not just the tangible, but the intangible assets that you can bequeath to the next generation. Okay. So when you have these super families, the DuPonts, Rockefellers, etc., they don't really marry outside of their circle. So they can keep all the knowledge within their circle and continue to perpetuate wealth. Okay. So while we got to get it however we get it in those circles, the knowledge in terms of how to not only how to produce wealth, but how to protect wealth is kept inside. And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that one of the 3 sciences that we had to master was the science of mate selection and genetic engineering. Okay. Because when you start mate selection, and if you're not choosing someone of value or someone who brings value into a situation, are you just going to wind up carrying dead weight? And then what the two of you produce inside the union, can you bequeath that to the next generation?
Yo, so she looks good, but does she have anything to bring to the table for legacy building?
Right.
Yeah, she can twerk, but does she have anything that's really going to be beneficial for our children's children?
Right. And I don't know what that Old Testament verse is where it talks about how a man should for his children's children's children.
Right. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children's children. Yeah. So I think that's interesting because it kind of forces you to think ahead. So not just think about the head, but think ahead in terms of what's going to happen in the future. And bringing that up, I guess let's talk about these Black women making waves in blockchain and cryptocurrency. We can check out Afro-Tech. So if we're not up on it, I'm going to check out Afro-Tech and learn more about, these crypto chains. But look, there's a sister named Tavania Evans.
Okay.
And she created BlockChain.
BlockCoin.
BlockCoin.
Wow.
Yo, get the guap. Yo,
see, I'm Gen X, so I'm,
Yo, so I'm clicking here, and this is something on BlockChain. Guap cryptocurrency for the culture. BlockCoin, cryptocurrency for the culture. All right, let's start here. All right. Ooh, she's giving up the goods. All right. She's giving up the goods. Let me increase this so it can be really read really nicely.
Okay.
Ooh, cryptocurrency can obtain its value from scarcity, community adoption, and ease of use.
Okay.
So decentralized.
All right.
The lack of any centralized authority. And I think, what's happening now with our community, we're saying, hey, the authorities are not caring for us.
Okay.
When we see what's happening with the police overreach, you call it domestic terrorism. I call it police overreach. I'm a little more politically nice about it, I guess. The authorities are not taking care of us. And so when we look at what happened in the banking system, the banks were not caring for us.
Right.
So I guess that's why we're looking for a decentralized situation. So let me see wallets. Cryptocurrency wallets are pieces of software that store your addresses and private keys. Okay. It's all about the keys and exchange. All right. So there's BlockChain. So not only Dewey have PowerCoin, the good brother T Webb, but now we had this BlockChain, GuapCoin,
Okay.
GuapCoin. Yo, it's amazing.
But now I always ask this question, and I think I asked it before. Are people who are creating these cryptocurrencies, how well versed are they in economic theory? Do they have economists serving as consultants to help them understand, certain economic theories as they create this cryptocurrency?
That's a good question. So tell me about economic theory. What do I need to know about economic theory? Because I think our community needs to know about economic theory, not just for cryptocurrency, but for money in general.
Right. Well, the way that economics is defined, it's basically a social science that studies how do you take what they consider scarce resources and have those resources and maximize those resources to take care of large groups of people. And the key thing is scarce resources. Because if you have scarce resources, that creates conflict, which leads to wars and other situations where everybody's fighting for the same thing. So we take oil, and we know that Africa is sitting on, tons of oil.
Right.
Okay. And how many wars have been fought over not only oil, but the other mineral resources in African soil. Okay. And those are considered quote unquote scarce resources. But who's defining what is scarce? You see? So that's kind of what economics is. It deals with the so-called scarce resources and how are they distributed and how are they, in some cases, how are they protected? Okay, because anything that is of significant value, you need something to protect.
Okay. I want to tap back into what I'm seeing on Afrotech, and it's talking about Black Women Blockchain Council. There's a Black Women's Blockchain Council. And of course, I'm pulling this up live, so I don't know much about what's going to happen. But the thing that's interesting to me is it looks like there are organizations already in existence to make sure that we do this right. So, okay.
And it looks like they're doing a good thing. They're actually educating the public about what this is, because I think it's criminal to try to get people to jump into something and you don't take the time to educate the people so they can make appropriate, intelligent decisions with their resources.
Well, I know that I'm going to be spending time, I'm not a Black woman, but I love them. So just the fact that they got these gorgeous looking sisters on here, I'm going to check out what I have to see, what they have to say. And I think we all should. Black Women Blockchain Council is a global benefit organization that aims to enhance inclusion and representation in the industry through training, mentoring, networking, and visibility programs. So let's bring this back. It's actually time for us to do a quick commercial break. I'm Seiko Varner, Mr. Empowerment, and I have with me the author of Gospel Afronomics Theology, GOAT, Brother Minister. Hey, Brother Minister,
yes.
What in your book could easily relate to our conversation today?
Good question. Let me, since I got the book, I'm going to look in the table of contents to see if something jumps out at me that can deal.
While you're doing that, I want to remind people that I'm Seiko Varner with Positive Vibes Financial. I help real estate investors. I help them to get 90% of the purchase price for real estate investment and 100% of the repairs. So if you're a flipper, get in contact with me, 757-932-0177. That's 757-932-0177. And hey, let's make some things pop. Because I truly believe that we need to increase our business entrepreneurial activity.
Right.
Yeah. And so Emmanuel says there will be a huge fight for coltan in Africa in the coming future. What is coltan? I'm going to have to look that up. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Okay.
I'm going to look that up. But in your book,
Yeah.
what in your book kind of relates to our conversation today?
Well, one of the things I talk about in my book is that every economic philosophy, and including mine, it has to be rooted in a nucleus of culture, history, and spirituality. Okay. And when it's rooted in culture, history, and spirituality, you have a framework of which to how to appropriately make sound financial decisions, not only for yourself. Oh, he says Coltan. Okay. Not only for yourself, but for your people. Okay. And like you said about history, we need to get into the history of economics so that way we can understand economic cycles. We can understand what to look for in terms of seeing, things that are rising and things that fall. So we really have to begin to be more scientific in how we approach things, particularly when it comes to things such as cryptocurrency, because everything is governed by rules and laws. Okay. And that's why I said understanding rules and laws of business, economics, and finance is what separates the investor from the gambler.
Ashe. So if you haven't picked up your copy of GOAT, pick up your copy of GOAT, because we're kind of goading our way through, man. We're definitely goading our way through. We're going to be the greatest. We are going to be the greatest. We are definitely going to be the greatest. So I guess in this first conversation about blockchain, it seems to me like we're walking away with the position that we need to investigate it more. Yes. We should not be gamblers. We should be investors. And investors are informed.
Yes.
And we need to use organizations like the Black Women's BlockChain Council and some of the other things that we found today to make sure that we're good to go and we can invest. We're in the space. We're not promoted and we're not necessarily knowledgeable. So beyond capital markets, a fintech social impact that uses blockchain and cryptocurrencies to help companies grow.
Okay.
Wow. So they're helping Caribbean countries. All right, here's another 2015 Atlantic article. Why are so few Black people using Bitcoin? So that's something else we're going to have to look into. We have to be investors, not just gamblers.
Right. And investigators of this technology. Yeah, so we have to be investors and investigators.
Understood. Hey, brother Emmanuel, any last words before we tap out of here? I really love your comments today. Today, we've been talking about blockchain and the Black community. And I think at this point, we're saying now it's time for us to learn more about it because people are putting their whole salaries into this. And it's either going to be a big win or it's going to be a big loss.
Right. Yeah.
So stay woke, y'all. Stay woke, y'all. Stay woke. Let's get on code. Let's make sure that we do some things that really improve our community. We can't afford to miss any opportunities because what happened here in the States, it happened it happened in Latin America. It happened in the Caribbean. It happened in the West Indies. It happened in too many parts of the world, particularly with people of African descent, where we allowed white supremacists to put us on the bottom of the economic round table.
Right.
And, we got to do something about it. Ida B. Wells says that a Winchester rifle should have a place in honor in every Black home. And so should investment books.
Mm-hmm.
We got to make sure this gets prevented.
Right.
We need to make sure that situation stops. And the situation I'm talking about, I'm showing pictures of people who were killed by race soldiers. and race soldiers. We just say race soldiers. We got to stop this from happening. And some of the ways that we can do it is economics.
Yes.
And politics responds to economics.
Mm-hmm.
Politics responds to economics.
Yes.
Yeah. I use this example all the time. I give thanks to this ancestor who paid the price, which allowed later on here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which at that point was Princess Anne County, to vote. Politics is influenced by economics. So if we want the politics in our country to change, we're really going to have to do some work on the economics.
Yes.
Any last words, Brother Minister?
Well, I'll put it in the words of what Minister Farrakhan once said. He said that politics without economics is symbolism without substance. So until we get the economics straight, and that economics has to be rooted in a nucleus of culture, history, and spirituality, nothing else will make sense for us.
And my last words are: find the code, read the code, get on code, stay on code, teach the code. And our code is empowerment. Peace. This show was brought to you by Positive Vibes Incorporated, our consulting services. We do credit fixes. We do tax resolution. We lend private money and debt consolidation. So if you need some of these services, we're waiting here for you. Credit fixes, tax resolutions, private money, and debt consolidation. Make sure you call Positive Vibes Incorporated.